Sabi ng ibang Messianic to be independent na. Kasi isa-isa na, no? We're branching out. We're branching out. Although, ginagay pa rin tayo ng Asia Pacific Messianic community. Okay? Yung 144,000 in Revelation 7:1-6, this is a vision of John regarding the seal judgment. So we see in Revelation 7 and following, the sealing of the foreheads, di ba? Nabasa natin, the foreheads of the servants of God, which is 12,000 from each tribe, which is the remnant of Israel. We started this already last week, actually. Yes, Revelation 7. So, andito yung verse dito. Then I saw another angel. May I ask Blessed to please read?
Irma.
Yeah, I saw another angel.
Then I saw another angel coming up from the east, having the seal of the living God. He called out in a loud voice to the four angels who had been given power to harm the land and the sea. Do not harm the land or destroy the trees until we put a seal on the foreheads of the servants of our God. Then I heard the number of those who were sealed, 144,000 from all the tribes of Israel. From the tribe of 5 from the tribe of Judah.
No, that is verse 5.
From the tribe of Judah, 12,000 were sealed. From the tribe of Reuben, 12,000. From the tribe of Gad, 12,000. From the tribe of Asher, 12,000. From the tribe of Naphtali, 12,000. From the tribe of Manasseh, 12,000. From the tribe of Simeon, 12,000. From the tribe of Levi, 12,000. From the tribe of Issachar, 12,000. From the tribe of Zebulun, 12,000. From the tribe of Joseph, 12,000. From the tribe of Benjamin, 12,000.
Sino dyan ang walang pangalan? Sa 12 tribes.
Pero nandito si Juan.
Wala si Joseph, pero
Joseph.
nandyan si
Manasseh.
Manasseh. Wala si Dan, and Dan, wala rin si yung isang anak ni Joseph, si Ephraim. Okay. Wala rin dyan si Dan, so sorry. So wala si Dan at si Joseph, yung dalawang anak ni
Nandito si Juan.
Joseph, sorry, not Joseph. Dan and Ephraim, which is the son of, one of the sons of Joseph. Okay. And Manasseh is also the son of Joseph, pero andyan siya. Who took the place of Dan? Who took the place of Dan? Levi. Levi. Kasi doon sa distribution, wala si Levi ng distribution of lands, di ba? Pero ngayon, andyan si Levi. So if you will notice, dyan, no, nabigyan na si Levi dyan. Okay, so everybody was given, actually represented from Israel. Wala si Dan, wala si Ephraim, because they polluted their own land. They committed abomination to the Lord. Sino si yung dalawa, especially Dan. Kaya when we were there in Israel, ang lecture sa amin ng isang pastor, si Dan, we went to the area of Dan. Makita mo talaga na nag-iiba doon sa area ni Dan, nandoon yung napakalaking Microsoft. Doon. Yes. And then he polluted his own land with adulterous things na worse pa siya kaysa itong mga iba. Yes. And yun ang learn it. In Ezekiel chapter 9 verse 6, it will parallel the passage that talks about the sealing of the remnant. At saka, they will not muna touch the trees and the plants there hanggang masilan yung 144,000. In other words, we see here na it is they are all from all the tribes of Israel. Kinukuha po ito ng Jehovah's Witnesses. Pero it's very clear po yung answer na who are the 144,000. The 12 from the tribes of Israel. So 12,000 is now. Parang iparallel natin ito, maalala natin yung story, ancient story of the coming out from Egypt when they were already concluding their journey going to the promised land, when they encountered the Midianite kings. So this was the battle against the Midianite kings in Numbers chapter 31, 1 to 53, where God commanded Moses to lead the children of Israel into battle. Pero, mamimili sila per tribe. So 1,000 soldiers from each tribe to fight against the enemy of God, the Midianite kings. So, ito yung isang example dito na parallel na dito sa future, it's double pa ang ginawa ni Lord. Not one of the selected soldiers died in battle. Same with the 144,000. This was the last battle in the wilderness before the children of Israel crossed over the promised land. So if we see here, the whole book of Revelation is talking of the last battles before we go to the promised land. Yan. Pag makikita natin, no, the whole book, if you will notice, pagbasahin mo lahat. Yung 144,000 are to be at, kailan sila nandito? When are they going to show themselves? What did it say? At the start of the great tribulation before the trumpet judgment. At the start of the great tribulation. Take note dito kasi merong two witnesses. Saan din yung kailan mag-start yung two witnesses at where, what time frame? Now the 144,000 are to be at the start. They will serve God on His behalf and they will be there until the end. Ano naman ang role ng 144,000 na to? So, Revelation 14, the 144,000 will be at Mount Zion later on at the end. They will be parang welcoming committee ito to welcome the Messiah when He returns into Jerusalem through the Mount of Olives. Diba? I will set my feet at the Mount of Olives. And we will also be there. Diba? We studied this last time. We will also be there. We see a series of prophecies that point to the 144,000 as the remnant of Israel. Sa Micah chapter 2 verse 12, we can see this also. Please go over them later. Ezekiel 33 also we see here as a watchman. Ezekiel chapter 14 talks about how God has delivered His people in the past. Ultimately, binibigyan po tayo ng picture of the Great Tribulation dito sa verse 12. No, also, where Noah, di ba pagpasahin ninyo doon sa chapter 14 of Ezekiel, verse 12, Noah was delivered from the judgment of the flood. Di ba in Ezekiel chapter 14, Ezekiel was talking about God's vision upon him, di ba? A prophecy na yung three men, Noah, Daniel, and sino yung isa? Job, di ba? About their deliverance. But they could not even deliver their own families. Okay, what does it mean? We will see muna how God delivered these three men. Noah was delivered from the judgment of the flood. Maalala nyo? Daniel was delivered from the judgment of a king, of a king who threw him in the lion's den. Job also was delivered from the harm of Satan himself. God delivered Job. Maalala ninyo itong story. So, itong yan na ito are powerful example forces about how people will be delivered in the Great Tribulation. How we will be delivered. I say we because we belong to God. If you say you believe in Him, believe in His commands, you walk in His ways, you abide in Him. Okay. God was saying, if I put a judgment on a nation, only three will make it. Basahin niyo yan. If I put a judgment on a nation, only three, Noah, Daniel, and Job will make it. Okay, sila lang tatlo. No? The seal judgment are so severe. Okay? Plagues. You will notice, yung sinabi ni God sa Ezekiel, eto like plagues, diseases, famines, etc. This will come out in the Great Tribulation. And, see, and Noah, Daniel, and Job could not even deliver themselves, not even the people they love. Meaning to say, it is God who would deliver people. He delivered these three as symbols of people who are righteous before the Lord. Job, despite yung sinabi na sa kanya ng kanyang friends, did not sin, di ba? Daniel and his friends did not sin. They did not pray to the idols, right? They were burned in the furnace, but were they really burned? Furnace. They were thrown in the lion's den, but were they eaten by the lions? They were not, because God shut the mouths of the lion. See, so, ito makita natin na it's in the power of the Lord. So, God is going also to deliver those in the great tribulation because we cannot deliver ourselves. Meaning God is trying to show a metaphor that we cannot deliver ourselves. So, He sent people to be between us and, or between those whom He has chosen and the enemies. So, there is a group of survivors during the Great Tribulation, and they will be part of the salvation of deliverance. Why? Isaiah chapter 40 verse 1. What did God tell them? What did God tell them? Comfort. Comfort my people. Now, who is called to comfort the people? The 144,000. You see, so nandoon na, it's there in the Word of God na kung ano ang role nila. See that? Sila yung survivors, yung remnants na magko-comfort, okay, to the people, comfort the people who are in distress during the Great Tribulation. See that? So comfort in Hebrew is a compound word, which means come into the fortress. It's a compound word, come into the fortress, comfort. Okay. The 144,000 have the power given by God to deliver those who will, take note, my condition, who will take refuge and comfort from them. They will stand, ano yung nasa verse sa Revelations? They will stand between the enemy. There will be a wall against them to protect the tribulation saints. So if the Lord will not take us today or tomorrow, and then the great tribulation is there already, and if we are, or we belong to Adonai, no, then we are tribulation saints. So we have the 144,000 to shield us. Okay, now, Revelation chapter 21 and following, we see here a memorial, no? Ano itong memorial? The names of the tribes of Israel written on the 12 gates. In Israel talaga nakita namin yung mga gates doon. At may mga pangalan po. Ito yung wall of precious stones that provide the defense of the entire fortress. Why is Monte Judah mentioning this one? Kasi naka-memorial na po doon yung 144,000. The 144,000, in other words, play a central role in protecting God's people and delivering us or them from the great tribulation. So, it is, they would comfort us, we would come into the fortress. Pero ang problema dito, lahat ba tayo, lahat ba ay ganon? Lahat ba ay magtiwala sa kanila? Ganon. Lahat ba ay pupuntahan ng 144,000 na ito sa buong mundo? You see that? So, pipiliin nila kung saan sila dadalhin ng Panginoon. Will one be here in this community or here in the Philippines where we are all together? May isang Hudyo some time ago na nag-warning dito, sinabi na nga, Baguio City will soon be taken by Islam. One day you will wake up, your mayor is a Muslim. Yun yung kanyang sinabi. You will have councilors, you will have leaders in Baguio City who will compromise with them, who will even act as their lawyers, who will defend them, and you will also add to your laws of the land. You will make their holiday their holidays, your holiday their holidays. So he predicted this one when he was here. Sino ito? Yes, sir.
Wala pa.
So sino ito? Okay, see that people they come, no? They warn people, no? But anyhow, we hope that later they will come back. They will also come if the community is clean. Yan ang sabi ni Monte Juda, pure, clean. Meaning to say, wala po tayong bahay dito na isa o dalawa who does not belong to the household of faith. This is how God is very strict. God is strict to preserve His people. So in this period, sila na ang, they would be the one to move out. Because God has instructed them already earlier. Now, so we see, no, the 144,000 will be with us. Hopefully one of them will be with us. Let's pray. No? And they would go from one camp to another, sabi ni Monte Juda. They go from one camp to another, one community to another, and they will be a fortress to them. But of course, for us, when we're still running, we're moving out, no, we need also to be careful. We need to be careful. Okay, so yan muna yung 144,000. Alam po natin, ang tanong lang kasi ay sino ang 144,000. So it's very clear that they come from the tribes of Israel. And they play an important role in the Great Tribulation. Now, ito yung isang madugo na ang daming nagsasabi na sila daw ay isa sa witnesses o yung si whoever. So, according to Monte Juda's explanation, ito po ay sinulat namin in 2016. It was enhanced in 2019. And then we discussed this recently. Revelation chapter 11, 3 to 4 talks about the two witnesses. But before you talk of the two witnesses, you need to have a background in Zechariah chapter 4, 2 to 5. And then verses 11 to 14 in order to understand the two witnesses. Puntahan po natin mamaya kung ano itong sa Zechariah. So, letter B, the two witnesses will come forth during the course of the Great Tribulation. Para mabigyan po tayo ng clearer understanding, let's go back. Let's review muna. Okay. Let's review. The overarching setup of the Great Tribulation, the 3.5 years to begin. It will begin with the season of winter. This is in Matthew. Winter to conclude in the season of summer. And then the abomination of desolation will shut down the altar. Okay, it is in the winter time. Shortly thereafter is the Passover. So you will notice the fall feast, the Passover here. Then the fall feast later. And that's when the Great Tribulation begins. Okay, that's when we depart and the Antichrist is going to be coming to power at that time. Okay, when the altar will shut down, the altar of sacrifice will shut down. This is in Daniel and Revelations. Proceeding to the time of the Great Tribulation, we come to the conclusion which we go into the period of the days immediately after the tribulation. That period is in the hills of Sakaan iti summer, the empty summer, toward the fall. Because the fall feasts are to be fulfilled when the Lord returns at the end of the Great Tribulation. Okay. So the scripture is very clear po na immediately after the days of the Great Tribulation, we see the signs of Yeshua, the signs of the Son of Man. May tanong si King, King, are you there? May tanong si King last time kay Blessed. Ang tanong ni King, bakit Son of Man? Why is Jesus or Yeshua called the Son of Man?
It's 100% God and 100%
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you agree?
Yun yung ginamit ni David sa book of the Son of Man. Ang ibig sabihin is, sa interpretation ko, siya yung magiging judge ng lahat ng tao.
Mm-hmm.
And is the king.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any other? Okay. King na king. Sige niya. Okay. Yeah, well, what you're right. He's right or right. Yes, we remember he was born of a virgin. Of the flesh. Yes. But remember also, yung nakita nila na DNA na dugo doon sa saan sa altar when sa Ark of the Covenant when they found out that the blood has only one.
DNA from the mother.
Yes, only from the mother. DNA from the mother. Eh saan na ngayon? Wala. He is pure God. He is pure God. So that's why when they say that, because he is considered also the Messiah, the King. Okay, anyhow, we'll get more of this as we move on. So we have now the story of the two witnesses. Okay? When do the two witnesses stand up and begin to do their prophetic word? It says here to stand up and begin to do the prophetic word after the great tribulation started. After the altar shuts down. Why? Because they stand in the side of the altar. And the altar is a symbol of a belonging, that it belongs to God. It is God's possession. It shows the presence of Adonai. They stand there. Now, we believe they're going to begin about 30 days after the altar shuts down. They will start to prophesy. Bakit 30 days? Sa gematria, no, ng calculation of the Hebrew calculation. Because this prophecy tells us that their prophecy is for 1,260 days. The Great Tribulation, according to Daniel, is 1,290. May 30 days pa. May 30 days. So they will start 30 days after the start of the tribulation. Okay. Beginning with the abomination of desolation. So we have the abomination of desolation to shut down, and then we have 30 days after that. The two witnesses begin to minister, and then they conclude 1260 days later, which is the same endpoint as in the 1290. Nakuha po natin? So 30 days na, after 30 days na after the altar shut down. Okay? And then, they are going to speak. Kaya magiging 1290 na yon. When the tribulation ends, in the days immediately after the tribulation, that they are raised, and we have the end time events of the days after the great tribulation. Now, yes, Joel chapter 1, 13 to 18 is talking about the shutting down of the altar. You see, Joel na ito, prophecies na to. The daily sacrifice, the tamid offering, and the libation will cease from the altar, or they will stop. No? And you see here a description of the priest wailing. They're crying. They're mourning before the Lord because they don't have the daily sacrifice. So, probably the two witnesses, they could be along with them. They will already emerge after 30 days. Now, verse 4 of Revelation 11, the two witnesses to stand before the Lord of the earth, before the altar, because the altar is a symbol of the Lord of the earth. It is in Joel. the Lord of the earth. It's also in Revelation. You see that? On the Lord of the earth. So it is symbol of God's presence. No. Okay, so if we see here now, sa Zechariah naman, para makita natin, tao ba ang mga ito o grupo ba ng tao, itong dalawang witnesses na ito? It's very clear too. Okay, now, Zechariah chapter 4, sabi nga ni Montejere, you cannot understand kung sino ang two witnesses without knowing Zechariah, going back. So, the two olive trees and two lampstands, basahin mo nga, James.
Then said unto me, what seest thou? And I said, I have looked, and behold a candlestick, all of gold, with a bowl upon the top of it, and his 7 lamps thereon, and 7 pipes to the 7 lamps, which are upon the top thereof, and 2 olive trees by it, one upon the right side of the bowl, and the other upon the left side thereof. Verse 4, so I answered and spake to the angel that talked with me, saying, what are these, my Lord? Verse 14, then said he, these are the 2 anointed ones that stand by the Lord of the whole earth.
Okay. See, so that stand by the Lord of the whole earth in the altar. As said here, we see in Revelations. Now, the 2 witnesses are to perform that role to prophesy in the vision of Zechariah. Not by might, not by power, but my spirit, says the Lord. Not according to the strength or power of the 2 witnesses, but Adonai Ruach put upon them. Okay, this would show that man is incapable without the Lord. It is God's might, it is God's power put upon them to move and to prophesy. So, yes. Now, they are protected by God powerfully. They will be killed, but they will be raised to life as a powerful testimony. Verse 6, next page. See that? They will be killed, but raised to life as a powerful testimony. Now may I ask you from here, if you say, because there are some interpretations who say that these two witnesses now are the Jews and the Gentiles going out to prophesy. This is very clear. They will be killed, but after 3 days they will rise. Now, if you say you are that, you will be killed. Will you rise? And it's talking of 2 witnesses. It is in the altar, which is in Jerusalem. It's there. And we cannot get be there because the day of the Lord is not yet done. Mag-i-start lang. So it's an indication. They will be raised from the dead after 3 days. Now, nagbubunyi ang buong mundo dahil sa pagkamatay ng tatlo. But their bodies will just be left there dahil takot sila. Because whenever they talk, nangyayari, nagpo-prophesy sila. Diba? And then they can command the rain and everything and plagues and all of these things they can command. Now, we cannot do that. We cannot do that. Besides, alalahanin ninyo, paano natin sasabihin na tayo, yung dalawa, can you give me a basis, na ikaw itong Jew, ikaw itong Gentile? Go back to Romans. If you say that Jews and Gentiles are one in Messiah, which is true, we have the olive tree message. Iisang tree lang ang tinutukoy sa Romans. Iisang tree. Na the branches fell, some branches fell, para the Gentiles can occupy them. In the meantime, yan, nangapol sila. Diba? Iisang tree lang. No? And then, hindi po natin pwedeng sabihin na dalawa na tree na tayo na. No. Kasi it's talking of one tree. So we cannot say that we are one of these witnesses. Sa dalawa lang talaga ang pinopoint dito sa Zechariah, sa Joel, sa Revelations. So, can you follow after me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Now, we get, or these two would get their power, their might, by the Spirit of God, which He put upon witnesses even before. Kaya sabi ni Monte Judah, we can only speculate who really are these two. But we cannot say, why is it that God did not tell the names of these people? Yun. Kasi, it's there now. Okay, now, let's see. What is the identity of the two witnesses? May prevailing theory dito, the spirits of Moses and Elijah. Even Monte Judah make mention of this one. Now, tignan natin mamaya kay Amir Jamfati. Now, as Moses and Elijah were given authority and power, and Elijah also was prophesied to come again before the coming of the Lord. Na pupunta uli si Elijah before the coming of the Lord. So sabi ni Monte Judah, we can only speculate. Now, yes,